What's going on, Commandos? Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us to get to 200 subscribers. Let's get into this mock draft 2.0. Okay, that was my intro. Anyway, my name is Chike Kamara. I'm a Commanders fan, and I'm passionate about the Commanders. And let's get into this mock draft 2.0. If last year was any indication, I think that this mock draft will have at least 50% of the players drafted by the team or at least bought in as undrafted free agents, although probably not, because these are some very good players, some draftable players. Remember last year, a lot of the guys they drafted, they bought in for the top 30 visits. They had some private workouts. They really did their due diligence. And these are guys this year that they have really spent some time with. They've actually, I'd say about 90% of these players have had some interaction with the Commanders at least 3 times. So there is interest there. I mean, you take a look at somebody like Femi Oladejo. Not only did they talk with him at one of the postseason All-Star Bowl games, but they also met with him at his pro day, and Dan Quinn and Adam Peters flew out to UCLA, worked him out privately, and met with him personally. And I can't think of too many individual players that they've done that with, where both Adam Peters and Dan Quinn met with personally. So that's a guy to keep an eye on. Now, I'm not going to show any highlights in this particular mock draft. YouTube likes to put a copyright strike on the video and limit who they show it to if you use highlights from other sources on your video. So if your interest is piqued by any of these players that I talk about, then you can certainly go on YouTube and see their highlights and use it as a point of reference for what I'm talking about. All right. Another thing is traded down from 128 to 132 and picked up 170 and 206. And this team really needs to trade down. There are too many diamonds in the rough, in my opinion. So they certainly need to pick up some more picks. But it's not to say that if they don't, they can't be successful, especially if you nail number 29 and number 61, then you're on the right path. But you're trying to build through the draft, and that's something that AP has said that he likes to do and prefers to do. So if you're trying to build through the draft and you only have 5 picks, and then you have a large gap in between the picks, you might want to fill in some of those gaps, get some good players, trade down if you can. And for me, I'm thinking that in every draft, there's always an opportunity to trade down or trade up. Now, in a perfect world, in a dream world, I wish they could trade up and get Ashton Jeanty. I really do. But that's probably not going to happen. But we shall see. All right, so let's go through the picks. So all of these guys, like I said, have met with the Commanders at least 3 times. Well, not all of these guys, but 90% of them. Nick Emmanwori, you don't really need to meet with him. You know what you get. They did meet with him at his pro day. And he's not even projected to be out of the top 15, maybe the top 20. So if he so happens to fall to 29, you take him. Unless, I mean, it might be a struggle to pass up on somebody like Egbuka or Pierce Jr. Well, maybe not Pierce Jr., but somebody like Emeka Egbuka or Matthew Golden or Michael Williams, somebody like that. Then it would be tough to pass up on one of them. But even still, for me, Nick Emmanwori is a top 10 to 15 players. So if he falls to you like it did here in this mock draft, you take him. Why do you take him? Because if you like Sean Taylor, you might quite like Nick Imanwori. He's 6'3", he's 235. He runs a 4.38 40. He arrives violently when he tackles. He can play great in coverage. He's a safety that reminds me of Cam Chancellor, and he has the speed of a Sean Taylor. He's got good instincts. I think he has a complete package. Of course, he needs to probably learn the game from a pro perspective a little more, but that's the kind of player that can transform the whole back end of your defense. The pass game would be definitely upgraded if you had a safety like Nick Imanwori. And I believe that he's going to be fairly durable and available. He's going to play most of his games. And that's just based on my proprietary sports astrology research. Nick Imanwori, you take him. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Now, the only way it wouldn't sort of work out in that way is if he's with the wrong coaching staff. But it's hard to be with the wrong coaching staff when you have the abilities that he has. And so, yeah, Nick Imanwori, if he falls to you, you take him and you move on. Next up at number 61 is Femi Oladejo from UCLA. He's an edge rusher. Picked him a little higher than desired, but I know the Commanders are really sort of in love with him. Oladejo batted his eyes, and those eyelashes got them looking. AP and DQ flew out to UCLA and met with him privately, watched him work out. They even had dinner with him. He was in on a top 30 visit. They liked the guy. And it's kind of easy to see why they could be enamored with him. He has good size. He's like about 6'3", 265. He's very, very athletic. The thing for me is I think that he does not have a complicated arsenal of pass rush moves. Not that you need a lot of different moves, but if you don't have a lot of different tools, then you better be powerful and fast. And I wouldn't say that Femi Oladejo is particularly fast per se, but he has good speed off the edge. And last year was his first year as an edge rusher. He played linebacker for the first few years, and then they made the switch to edge. I think he went to the coaching staff and said he'd like to try it. He tried it and played pretty well. I'm not sure how durable he will be, so the Commanders need to consult me about some of these players. But I have been wrong, and I could be wrong. And just based on pure talent and size and tools, might not be a bad pick here. So, and I know they love him. Next up is Quincy Riley. I like this pick here. He is a very instinctive cornerback, about 5'11", 6 foot, 195. He can play zone or man, so that flexibility is probably why they like him a lot. They met with him privately. They worked him out privately, and they met with him at either the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine Bowl. I can't remember which one, but the Commanders are really interested in him. I just think about the cornerbacks that they did not have private workouts with. So they are definitely interested, and I think here is a good place for them to take him. And I actually like him. He has a competitive spirit about him. He has good technique. And so, yeah, good pick here. Quincy Riley, cornerback out of Louisville. Next up is Dante Thornton, and I know you're going to get sick of me saying over and over, Dante Thornton, get Dante Thornton, call it a day. You know, I'm going to keep beating the drum for Dante Thornton. And I think my sort of mojo is getting to them because he's showing up around Commanders discussions a lot. First of all, they met with him at one of the postseason All-Star Bowl games. Then they met with him at his pro day, along with Dylan Sampson, the running back. Then they had him in for the local pro day because he's from Baltimore, Maryland. So this recent local players pro day that they had in Ashburn, he was there. And so they have the book on Dante Thornton. They know him. His energy is around the team. So that's a good thing. So I'm hoping they pick him. I mean, 6'4.5", 215, runs a 4.3 flat 40. Take him because, you know, he solves two issues you might have in your wide receiver room. First of all, you need size on the team. Check. And you need speed on the team. Check. So he can be that size guy that you need. He can also take the top off the defense. Just got to work with him a little bit. And I think Cliff Kingsbury is the type of guy that can put receivers in the right position based on what their skill set is. I would be salivating if they got Dante Thornton. So I'm sending that positive vibe out into the universe. Let's bring him in. Okay, next up is Noel Williams. He was the best available player at 205. So I said, let me take him. And I really like him. He's a 4.5 40 guy, so not elite speed as a cornerback, but his instincts are so good. He has so good ball instincts. So I think it's somebody that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. will really like. And every time I put on a tape for Noel Williams, he just seems to be in good position and he can get the ball. And like I said, the Commanders need players that are ball hawk type players. And I like Noel Williams. They're a good pickup. All right, next up, running back that they've had a private workout with as well is Jacory Krosky Merritt. Krosky Merritt is a running back along the lines of a Bashal Tutin or maybe a RJ Harvey, but he's just lesser known. And I think getting him here at 206 is a good bet. I think he'll be fairly durable. And the thing about him is he's a home run threat and he has good vision and good elusiveness. He's about 5'11", 205. And if you don't know anything about him, it's probably because he played one game last year. And I think he had 17 carries, 406 yards. It was a good game, and it just seemed like he was on pace to have a very, very good season. But Arizona shut him down after the first game because there was a mix-up regarding his redshirt year and whether he played too many games. And instead of putting themselves in a situation where they could get sanctioned, Arizona decided to shut him down for the year. So he missed most of last year, but it has nothing to do with his academics, nothing to do with injury. It's just that when he had a redshirt year, apparently he played some and played too much. And there was some question. Somebody sort of from one of his previous stops sort of ratted him out. I don't know what that was about, but somebody called the NCAA. And then there were some questions. So Arizona held him out. So look him up. He's got some explosiveness. He definitely has some vision and some elusiveness. And again, he's on par with a guy like Brashard Smith from SMU. I know a lot of people like him. And he's on par with Bashal Tutin, RJ Harvey, all in that group. So I like that pick here. They met with him privately. I didn't even know about him until I heard that the Commanders worked him out privately. So there you have that. Next up is Rock Taylor. You know how I feel about him. Almost on the same level as Dante Thornton. He reminds me of A.J. Brown, a little bit bigger at 6'2", 225, something like that. He catches everything. He's physical. He has a little bit of wiggle, but the thing about him is he's a bigger receiver and it's hard to defend him. So I just think at pick number 245, that's a good spot to get a guy like Rock Taylor, who has a prototypical big wide receiver size, and he just has something about him, his mentality. To me, I just think he'll be a good pro, and I think he'll be fairly durable. I hope. All right, so that's what I got for the mock draft 2.0. What do you guys think? You certainly hit on some needs here. We did not attack offensive line. I think they're going to bring in a lot of undrafted free agents as far as the offensive line is concerned. If you hear a lot of draft analysts, you will hear that there are not a lot of true offensive tackles available in this draft. And so I think the Commanders will go the route of bringing a whole lot of undrafted free agent linemen, and they will find some diamonds in the rough. So they need a couple of linebackers, especially somebody to replace eventually the middle linebacker, Bobby Wagner. Come on, man. So I think they'll eventually have to replace him, but they'll bring in somebody, probably like a Eugene Asante from Auburn. He's only about 6 foot, but he's like 240 and he's a tackling machine. So they might bring in somebody like him as an undrafted free agent. And so, yeah, that's who I got. Who do you guys got? Do you like it? Is it better? No complaints in the comments about not getting an edge rusher. All right.